Paddy Pimblett health update after UFC 324, wife issues reassuring statement following hospital stay. On the night of UFC 324 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, British MMA star Paddy Pimblett stepped into the octagon with one of the most feared bang-for-your-buck fighters in the world, Justin Gaethje. What followed was a brutal, 5-round war that ended in Pimblett's first career defeat in the UFC, a unanimous decision loss that tested not only his physical limits but also sparked global concern about his health in the fight's aftermath. Yardbarker +1. In the immediate moments after the fight, the 31-year-old Liverpool native found himself on the receiving end of significant punishment. Although he showed his trademark toughness throughout the fight, taking big shots and never yielding ground, Pimblett sustained clear cuts, bruising, and endured multiple hard exchanges that ultimately left fans and pundits alike calling for an official update on his medical condition. Yardbarker. Boxing Glove UFC 324, a physical battle to the end. From the opening bell, Pimblett and Gaethje engaged in a relentless striking duel. Both fighters are known for their aggressive styles, and this matchup delivered exactly what fans had hoped for: non-stop action. The bout stretched the full 5 rounds, with each minute packed with powerful exchanges, combinations, and moments of genuine peril for both men. Go Super. Despite his heart and resilience, Pimblett was dropped more than once during the fight and showed visible signs of damage by the final bell. The judges ultimately scored the fight in favor of Gaethje via unanimous decision, marking a significant milestone, the first time Pimblett had ever tasted defeat in the UFC. Go Super. Hospitalization after the fight. Immediately after UFC 324 concluded, Pimblett was examined by the UFC's medical staff inside the arena. Given the amount of punishment he took during the fight, the decision was made to rush him to a nearby hospital for further evaluation and treatment. This is standard protocol in mixed martial arts when a fighter endures a high level of damage. Yardbarker. In contrast, Gaethje declined a hospital visit despite taking significant damage himself, insisting he was fine when approached by medical personnel. Dana White, the UFC president, confirmed that Pimblett was transported directly to the hospital as a precautionary measure and that medical teams were going to assess both fighters until Gaethje opted to refuse additional checks. Yardbarker. At the hospital, Pimblett underwent a series of tests and evaluations to make sure there were no serious injuries such as fractures, brain trauma, or internal issues, the kinds of concerns that arise after a back-and-forth fight like the one fans witnessed that night. After this thorough medical assessment, he was eventually released, but not before sparking widespread speculation and concern among the MMA community and his supporters back home. GB News. Wife issues official health update. For nearly 24 hours after the conclusion of UFC 324, Paddy Pimblett himself remained largely silent on social media, leaving a void of official information about his condition. In that silence, uncertainty grew. Fans were eager for news from the fighter himself or from the UFC. Yardbarker. It was his wife, Laura Pimblett, who ultimately stepped forward to calm the anxieties of supporters worldwide. Posting on Instagram, Laura shared a photo of the two of them together after the fight, the image showing them from behind so that the focus remained on unity and reassurance rather than the visible damage from the bout. Yardbarker. Her caption was simple yet deeply reassuring. As forever. For everyone asking, he is absolutely fine and will be back. Yardbarker. This message instantly quelled a storm of worry online and provided fans, many of whom had watched the fight live, with the first clear indication that Pimblett was recovering and in good spirits despite his tough night. The phrase, "he is absolutely fine and will be back," communicated confidence and resilience, something Paddy has shown throughout his career. Yardbarker. Brain manager and UFC leadership also provide context. In addition to his wife's statement, Pimblett's longtime manager and president of Cage Warriors, Graham Boylan, took to social media to express a similar sentiment. Boylan reassured fans that Paddy was good, encouraging supporters with positive words and showing appreciation for the outpouring of support from the MMA community. The Times of India. Dana White also addressed Pimblett's condition during the post-fight press conference. White described Pimblett as tough and durable, acknowledging that while he certainly took significant punishment, early indications were that he was medically sound after the hospital visit. These comments helped add further credibility to his wife's reassuring message about his recovery. UFC. Scroll Nevada State Athletic Commission rules and medical suspension. Under the regulations of the Nevada State Athletic Commission (NSAC), fighters who have taken substantial damage in an event are automatically placed under a mandatory medical suspension. This rule is designed to protect fighters from returning to action prematurely and to ensure they get adequate time to recover physically. GB News. As part of this medical protocol, Pimblett received a suspension, typically 30 days or more, during which he cannot compete or even engage in full-contact training until cleared by a licensed physician. This is a routine and precautionary step following particularly grueling bouts such as his 5-round war with Gaethje. GB News. Speaking head Pimblett's own response post-fight. Although Pimblett did not immediately comment publicly about his medical condition, he did speak inside the octagon right after the fight concluded. Addressing the crowd and the UFC audience, he expressed respect for Gaethje and acknowledged the disappointment of losing his interim title shot. Despite this setback, he shared a message of resilience, saying, "I'm 31, I'll be better. You haven't seen the last of me." GB News. His remarks showcased a mindset of perseverance, something that has defined much of his fighting career to date, and something that clearly parallels the confidence his wife expressed in her update. GB News. Speech balloon community and fan reactions. Once Laura's message went public, social media was filled with passionate responses from fans and fighters alike. Many praised the transparency and the reassuring nature of the update, and several commentators noted Pimblett's fighting spirit and popularity despite suffering his first loss. His resilience, combined with the heartfelt message from his wife, emphasized not only his toughness but also the strong personal support system he has off the mat. Yardbarker. Supporters also pointed to Pimblett's earlier interactions with fans as an example of his connection to the MMA community, people who feel personally invested in his journey thanks to his openness and candid personality both inside and outside the cage. GB News. Martial arts uniform looking ahead. What this means for Pimblett's career. Although a loss is always a setback, especially in a high-profile fight for interim title status, Paddy Pimblett's future in the UFC remains strong. The medical suspension and recovery period are simply part of the sport's safety framework, and given the decisive statements from both his wife and his management team, there's every indication that Pimblett will return to competition once fully cleared. GB News. Moreover, his performance against Gaethje, while not victorious, earned him respect for his toughness and tenacity. Figures within the MMA world acknowledged his courage, especially after exchanging heavy blows with one of the division's most dangerous strikers. Geo Super. Whether he aims to work his way back into title contention or seeks a series of key wins to re-establish momentum, this chapter in his career adds a new layer of experience and maturity to one of the sport's most colorful personalities. GB News. Conclusion. The UFC 324 bout between Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje will be remembered as one of the toughest fights of the year, not only for the physical toll it took but also for the emotional response it generated from fans around the world. While the unanimous decision loss was the first of Pimblett's UFC tenure, the deeper story that emerged in the days following was one of love, resilience, and reassurance. Yardbarker +1. Thanks to his wife Laura's heartfelt update, he's absolutely fine and will be back. Alongside confirmation from his management and UFC leadership, supporters now know that Paddy Pimblett is on the mend, in good health, and looking forward to the next chapter of his MMA journey. Yardbarker.